Ladies and gentlemen, let me start breaking down how we're going to be going about the Players' Cup 3 discussion, baby. So, I'm going to be going over all of these cores and common weaknesses to them. I personally believe that your team should have at least one answer, check, or game plan for each one of these cores that I'm about to show you. Let's say you've got a really weak Regigigas Weezing matchup. Like you've got one little answer to it. You know, you think this is like I've got one thing that helps me out against it, but you know, your team is good against everything else. Literally everything else. Like, oh, I've got great answers to Glacier. I've got Sun, Dragapult, Sand. It's like that's a good team. There's no team that is like, I have perfect answers against everything in the meta. Like there is no bad matchups. You know why? Because every single player would be using that team if it existed. That's the beauty about Pokemon, is like the meta constantly evolves. Things become more popular, and then we got to answer that. And then things become less popular, and more different things rise up, and we got to answer that. So this is, as of right now, what I think are the most common cores that we need to answer to. Now that you guys said, where's Guzzlord, I think it's a great time to stop reading anything that you guys have to say to me and start doing my own thing. That was a great, so thank you for that, Dank. Guys, let's start with hyper offense. So, I don't want to plug my YouTube videos all the time. I think it's annoying. But I have a video on YouTube where I talk about hyper offense, what they do, how they play. But pretty much, they are fast, they are frail, and they want to end the game in like 3 to 5 turns. Okay? That's how they operate. They try to hit fast, and they try to literally knock out your whole team. But they themselves are very easy to knock out themselves. How do we combat hyper offense? So I'm gonna put this down just for the sake of that it's true. I don't really like it per se, but a hyper offense team that's faster, okay? If you are the slower hyper offense team against a faster hyper offense team, you're probably going to lose. So this would be Pokemon such as like Dragapult is insanely fast. Regigigas is like in that tier of like insanely fast. And then I think like Rain and I lost to Drifblim the other day. So I don't think it's very popular, but these are the kind of things that I think have a really good matchup, because like you guys trade Tailwinds and then you're just like Life Orb Dragapult or your Specs Regigigas is just gonna one-shot everything on this team. They're gonna be at a loss when it comes to that kind of stuff. I don't recommend this being your answer. If you're running a hyper offense team, yeah, you should try to be, you need to have answers to other hyper offense squads. And whether that is being faster or not, or having maybe fake out, or having redirection in something like Clefairy, could help you out a lot too. So that'll be the first one. But I think that these are the more obvious answers to being able to set up Trick Room. Obviously, that's easier said than done. They sometimes have things with Fake Out. Sometimes they have imprisoned Trick Roomers, such as Chandelure or Indeedee Mail. While it is easier said than done, I think if you are able to get Trick Room up against a hyper offense team, you probably will not lose the game. I think it is honestly that difficult. If you're hard Trick Room versus hyper offense and you get it up turn 1, you get Trick Room up turn 1 while your Follow Me Pokemon dies or whatever, like, I think it's pretty hard to lose the game. So obviously that's easier said than done. So you're going to need to protect yourself with things like Redirection, Insane Bulk, Mental Herb, etc. Stuff like that is what's going to really help you actually be able to get up the Trick Room in front of a hyper offense team. Dual screens. Okay, so whether these dual screens are from Grimmsnarl or Regigigas, I think screens are very annoying for hyper offense teams. You go first. Like, let's say you lead Grimmsnarl, you get the Prankster Reflect up turn 1, and you just Dynamax your partner, and that guy's just a tank. And it doesn't matter if they're faster than you or if they're hitting insanely strong. They are going to kind of just be able to take your hit and plow through you. So I think dual screens is very strong against hyper offense teams. Of course, they can power through. Urshifu obviously crits every attack with Wicked Blow. That's going to crit through Reflect. It's going to totally ignore that. Urshifu's the only Pokemon that can really deal with that version of Hyper Offense too well. And I always think that that's a good option. This is probably a more obvious answer, but Intimidate and Snarl. The thing is like when they have a Defiant Pokemon like Thundurus or Zapdos, for example, Intimidate's not going to be that good. Playing it well versus Defiant / competitive. Okay, I think that that's a good way to put it as well. Trick Room, Hyper Offense that is faster, just go faster, hit harder, and dual screens, and then slow down moves, Intimidate, Snarl, T-Wave, all that good stuff. So I like that. I like that a lot for Hyper Offense. Next core we're gonna be talking about, guys, is the Ice Horse stuff. Okay, Ice Horse is the kind of Pokemon that can fit on a lot of different team compositions. Okay, we've seen Ice Horse with Sun. We've seen Ice Horse with Grimmsnarl dual screens. We've seen Ice Horse on like these more hard Trick Room teams. We've even seen it just kind of thrown on with other stuff as like a Trick Room answer in its own right. Glacier can run a multitude of different items. Okay, he can run Life Orb for very safe, high damage output. It could be a weakness policy set with Dusclops running Brick Break or Rock Tomb or something like that. There's like Assault Vest to make him super bulky. The thing is with this ability, this is Moxie. So like you don't have to run an offensive item with this Pokemon. You just get one Chilling Neigh boost and you're good to go, baby. So Assault Vest, Life Orb, weakness policy. You can see Lumberry to protect you from something like Burning Jealousy or Will-O-Wisp or Sleep Powder from Venusaur, right? Lumberry is amazing. We even saw White Herb do well in the Players' Cup finals. But yeah, it was White Herb Glacier because I think I'm going to put this on this list just because one guy ran White Herb doesn't mean this is a good answer, not a good answer. But if you can successfully cycle, come on now, cycle Intimidates / Incineroar. I think Incineroar has an amazing matchup against the Ice Horse, personally. Because, so, can the Ice Horse hit you super effectively? Yes, but it can only hit you super effectively with Max Quake and Max Knuckle. Max Knuckle is a weaker base power. Max Quake is not stab. So you're not going to be able to kill Incineroar from full health, especially at -1, which is what Incineroar is going to be aiming to do, is get you to -1 and then switch on out. Come back in, get you to -2. Cycling Intimidate is straight fire against Glacier, okay? The thing is like you can cycle Intimidate no matter what the speed bracket is. When you switch a Pokemon in, it happens instantly at the start of the turn, no matter if Trick Room's up, no matter if Tailwind's up, whatever. Incineroar's gonna come in and drop Glacier to -1 no matter what. Even if you let them set up the Trick Room. You let them get Trick Room up, you cycle the Intimidates, you weather the storm, if you will, of the Dynamax Ice Horse, and then you set up for like, okay, Trick Room's ending next turn. I'm gonna switch this. I'm gonna protect this. And then next turn, I'm going to be able to, I've set myself up to kill Dusclops. He's never gonna get Trick Room up again. And kill the Ice Horse on the last turn. So I think if you can like wait out the Dynamax, you're in an amazing position. So I'll put Incineroar, Parting Shot, wait out Dynamax / Trick Room. Yeah, I think that those are really good. Don't allow TR to be set up. Obviously, this is easier said than done, but the Ice Horse is still scary in or outside of Trick Room just because it's so bulky. He gets his stats boosted up. Still very scary, but it is easier to deal with. You can make double attacks into it, you know, more conveniently. You can probably weave that status condition on the Glacier if you have something like Will-O-Wisp or something like that a lot easier when you're moving faster than it. So, but the thing is, guys, is kind of what I'm trying to lay out for you guys is lots of answers, common answers to these kinds of things, and then trying to fit at least one of these things onto your team. Having Taunt on your team, is that a lot to ask for? Sometimes. Is having Incineroar on your team a lot to ask for? Sometimes, but is asking for your team to have Intimidate, if it's going to help your matchups against a lot of things, a lot to ask for? I don't think so, personally. So I'll put Rotom, Wash, Rotom, Heat. I'm trying my best to shy away from like specific Pokemon too much, like, Incineroar is Incineroar. Like, that's Pokemon that can go on any team. It's harder to, like, slap on a Rotom Heat and just, like, call it a day. Glacier is usually running Max Quake, which can't affect either of them. Hailstorm, which is not very effective against both of them, and then Steel, which is not very effective against both of them as well. One thing I want to bring up, guys, about the Ice Horse stuff is if they're Porygon 2 Glacier, they have like a double fighting weakness. So like Urshifu, if put into a really good position, can be really good against these two guys. But dude, the reason why Dusclops Glacier is so good is like it's weak to fighting, immune to fighting, and a ghost type. You never know if the evil dreaded ally switch is coming out. But yeah, if you really want to not let Glacier get Trick Room up, you should probably have answers to Amoonguss and Trick Room Setter, which I think every team should probably have an answer to an Amoonguss plus a Trick Room Setter, for example. So keep that in mind, that they are both weak to fighting, but then these two support mons are very commonly resist fighting. So it's a push and a pull. Grimmsnarl, Zapdos stuff. Okay, this is like a core that's popping up. You'll have Grimmsnarl with dual screens and sometimes fake tears. And then you'll have these Pokemon that are very high base stat, great attacking stats, but aren't like amazingly fast, such as Zapdos, Heatran. You see Rillaboom on that team a lot too to protect Heatran from earthquakes. Nihilego I've seen a lot on that team too. This team tries to take it slow. You get the screens up, you get bulky, and you just start clapping it out, okay? But I'd say these teams are pretty well-rounded. I don't think these teams really have like obvious weaknesses or answers. I'm not gonna sit here and bring Brick Break on your team, guys. You've gotta have Brick Break. It's like, I'm not gonna go that far. Court Change, Pog, dude. Court Change, Cinderace is gonna body this. Like, okay, obviously not. You should just have things that do well against Zapdos and Heatran stab attacks, right? Zapdos is flying and electric, okay? For example, Zapdos is going to have a hard time against other electric types because it's immune to both flying and electric. I think things like Regigigas can cause issues to Zapdos. I think Rotom Heat can cause issues to Zapdos. I think Rotom Heat causes a bunch of issues for Heatran as well, and Rillaboom, which it's like, you know, a common core is like Heatran, Rillaboom with Zapdos, Grimmsnarl, and like Nihilego obviously like murders Rotom Heat, but this isn't like some, you know, this discussion isn't supposed to be like, oh, like building against a full team of 6. These are cores. So this is actually this is an even better way to put it. I'd say a weakness to these slow burner teams where you set up screens is setting up. And I think Rotom is really good against that kind of stuff too. Because Reflect, you know, it gives you a 33% boost in defense to physical or special, whether you're using Reflect or Light Screen. But honestly, that's not really enough to deal with these big boosts. Rotom Heat gets an Nasty Plot up, he's still going to 2-hit KO Zapdos. Still going to 2-hit KO Rillaboom. I mean, a Heatran with Max Lightning. Going to kill Rillaboom in one hit. Probably going to 2-hit KO Nihilego as well. I'm assuming these are Dynamax Pokemon. Like, you can kill a lot of these in one hit after an Nasty Plot. But, so I think setup is really good against these slower teams. Large bulk. I think Pokemon such as Porygon 2, Dusclops, they like inherently have really good matchups against these teams that don't set up. You know, like Zapdos, Heatran, they don't set up, right? They don't have Nasty Plot or Calm Mind, or they're usually almost never like a weakness policy set. They rely on a Life Orb or just slowly like hit, and Fake Tears as well from the Grimmsnarl is what kind of facilitates this team, right? I would say that really bulky Pokemon that can just set up Trick Room in front of it are very good. So Porygon 2 and Dusclops I think are pretty good. This team relies on just outplaying your opponents, playing better, making good reads, and just like, yeah, playing well. And the hyper offense is just catching your opponents off guard. So it's very different. So I don't think this team has any big glaring weaknesses. This is a big one, chat. This is a big one. Venusaur/Sun. Sun is very good. We all know that this is a very good core, okay? It's very frustrating to play against. Okay, we all know this. And here's the reasons why are... Let's talk about why this core is so good. Where do I even start, man? Every single turn that you play against Venusaur is a 50-50. Will they be putting me to sleep and not Dynamaxing? Obviously, you can't put me to sleep and Dynamax. Will they be Dynamaxing and ignoring my fake out or whatever I tried to do and just starting to rip me apart? That's why it's so hard. It's really, really hard. But there are certain things that can like mitigate the risk against Venusaur-Torkoal. I personally think Venusaur-Torkoal is even scarier in best of one no team sheet formats. Is it good in open team sheet formats? Of course it still is. But it's even scarier in the first qualifying stage of the Players' Cup, which is what we all, as players right now, need to get over first. That's the first hurdle, is the best of one. No open team sheet format ladder tournament. And I think there are things that can mitigate this. Anti-sleep tech, okay? So whether this is terrain, Lumberry, or safety goggles, your opponent does not know that you have Lumberry or safety goggles, okay? It is a closed team sheet format. You can make very safe plays when you know I cannot be put to sleep. So you only have to answer for them Dynamaxing. You do not have to make an answer to them putting you to sleep because you've already done that in your team building. You don't have to think about that in the middle of the match. And they don't know that you have this. So these items played well can totally bring you to victory, maybe. The scary thing about Torkoal Venusaur is that Torkoal is the slowest weather setter in the game, okay? So if you lead Politoed, if you lead Tyranitar, anything like that, and they lead Torkoal, they will get the sun up. And also, if they don't lead Torkoal and you lead their weather, they're just gonna switch in Torkoal and override it turn one. So that's why Torkoal is so scary. But there still are Pokemon that are really, really good against this kind of stuff. I think it's very obvious, but a lot of people use Tyranitar. You are extremely bulky when you Dynamax. You will not be dying to Venusaur. He's gonna have to risk activating your weakness policy, and then you're gonna just kill back, max Rockfall, instantly set back up your weather. You lead Tyranitar, sands up. They switch in Torkoal, and then they attack. That's okay. Tyranitar's gonna live. They hit you with a super effective attack, Pog. If they sleep powder you, you're probably gonna be leading an answer to that, whether it's fake out, follow me, safety goggles, that kind of stuff. Or they attack you, they activate your policy, and you kill back, and then set up the sand, like I just said. I feel like this is somewhat an underrated option against Torkoal Venusaur is dragons, okay? Everyone in chat loves to bring up the name Poodra, as I like to call it in chat, okay? Goodra with Sap Sipper. On paper, is it great against Venusaur and Torkoal? Yes, okay, on paper. But in reality, it doesn't do any damage. It sucks. I personally do not like Goodra. If you like Goodra and you think he's Pog, prove me wrong, baby. I think the really good dragon against Sun is Dragapult, okay? Dragapult is immensely fast. It gets max Airstream, which I believe outspeeds Venusaur after you get +1. It resists Sludge Bomb. It resists Grass. And it resists Fire from Torkoal. It's very, very good. Dragapult is a very, very good answer against Torkoal. So, I mean, think about putting these together. What if you had a Lumberry Dragapult? Or a Safety Goggles Dragapult? Dusclops is very popular on those teams too. Dragapult does great against that. So, Dragapult is one of the most tried and true great answers against Sun. But like I said, I'm not trying to get you guys to put like specific singular Pokemon on your teams. So I think that the anti-sleep tech or even weather, let's just do weather control, right? So I think weather control and anti-sleep tech are the best options. Dragapult Coalossal. That's our next goal to defeat, okay? I think that almost every Coalossal team will be paired with Rillaboom and Urshifu Water. This is the most common Dragapult Coalossal core. Well played, Max Geyser / Quakers. Coalossal, obviously, is quad weak to both ground and water. And Gastrodon is at an all-time low right now. See, like, do you guys remember the Coalossal teams going around 3 to 5 months ago? They had Gastrodon on almost all of them because it was a great way to stop Max Geysers. Well, the thing is nobody's really using Gastrodon too much right now. So I think that a really well played Pokemon that can do really strong max geysers is can be very good against Coalossal. I think that things like that are Tapu Fini. It's pretty much like things that aren't weak to Rillaboom. I think Tapu Fini is still a solid mon against this. It has to be played really well though. Wolf actually used Assault Vest Rillaboom, but a lot of people do try to use Choice Band Rillaboom to like force Oko the water type. Depends if they're Choice Band or Assault Vest, you never know. But I think things like Tapu Fini are great. I think Landorus is honestly fantastic against Coalossal. Assault Vest Landorus, or even not, you're gonna survive Colossal's attack. You're gonna max Quake, kill him. You can max Airstream, Rillaboom. I think that these are just solid, pretty decent Pokemon against Coalossal as a whole. These Pokemon are not like end all be all. If you have this Pokemon, you are going to be able to beat Coalossal teams every time. No, but these are Pokemon that when a Coalossal team sees them, they are like, ooh, okay, we gotta play this really well. I've gotta tread lightly. I've gotta watch out for Feedy, Landorus, Rotom Water, Urshifu. You can't even tell that it's Water Urshifu in Team Select. Lol, but alas. The thing about these strategies though is like that you're gonna keep taking this rock damage. Like, if you take it too slow against a Coalossal team, even if you're like taking the attacks well, the max Volcalith, the max Flare, even if you take those attacks well, you're still losing like a 6 of your health every turn to Volcalith. Which is why I hate it. I think it's super frustrating. But these are things that can really slow down Coalossal. I think if you can get up Trick Room against these teams, they're in a lot of trouble. Now, will they just try to not activate the Steam Engine on Coalossal? Yeah, that's what they try to do. But Coalossal still, like, you have to have a lot of speed and coal to actually outspeed a bunch of stuff. Like, look at this, 90 base speed. That's going to be slower than anything relevant in Trick Room. Even, like, Incineroars with speed investment are slower than this. So, yeah. Maybe they won't try to activate Steam Engine, but if you are able to get up Trick Room, you're going to be in a pretty good spot here. The reason I'm writing that down is like maybe you're going to be afraid to set up Trick Room because you're like, oh, Colossal's base 30 speed. Trust me, they are not minimum speed on their Coal team. I mean, if they don't have Dragapult, maybe they are. You know, like they're a Dusclops Coalossal Bulldoze thing. But Dragapult Coalossal, they are going to have a good amount of speed investment. But yeah, I would say that these are all things that are pretty good against Coal. I think the biggest one is just playing well with good max Geyser and Quake Pokemon. I'd say that's the biggest takeaway, doing well against Coalossal teams. Does this team fall kind of into the same vein as Hyper Offense? Yes, but it isn't. The first team that I was showing you guys was like these prankster, Tailwind reliant, really frail Hyper Offense teams. Now, this is like Hyper Offense in the way that Spectrier and Regigigas hit insanely hard. They try to get kills in one hit. They try to like snowball through the game with Grimmsnarl boosts, Helping Hand from Clef, right? But they don't rely on Prankster, Tailwind, they have Redirection with Clef, that kind of stuff. So this is like the more new age Hyper Offense squad that I'm seeing pop up a lot. First and foremost, I think things that are very good against this are Dark types. Spectrier's biggest hitting moves are Max Strike off of Hyper Beam, Shadow Ball, Dark Pulse, and Mud Shot. That's literally like all it can do. Spectrier does not like dealing with dark types. So can you like Helping Hand, Mud, whatever, an Incineroar? Yeah, you can. But if they're going to play their Incineroar really well, they're going to Snarl you, Parting Shot you, make out the Clef, and kill the Spectrier at the same time. That kind of stuff. It can really snowball out of hand. So I would say things like Moltres, Incineroar. I would say Tyranitar is really, really strong against this core. And then, once again, this is a Hyper Offense squad. So I think things such as Dual Screens and Trick Room stop these things. These are kind of the basic answers to Hyper Offense. Now, a lot of people are afraid to set up Trick Room in front of Clef because after you. This is the slowest you can be. Torkoal is slower than that. Glastrier is slower than that. Why do I have 3 fingers up when I only named 2 Pokemon? I don't know. They don't really run after you very much anymore. They need Protect. They need Helping Hand and Follow Me. And then that means they're not running an attack. No Dazzling Gleam, no Moonblast, no Icy Wind, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to think if there's anything I missed that's pretty good against Spectra. Instant is Pog. I think Moltres is super fucking good. I like these the most. Sand. This core always goes in of popularity and out of popularity. Whenever new stuff gets added to the game, people stop using sand as much. Why? I don't know. I guess because it's been around since the beginning of the game. People always want to try the new stuff, the new fun stuff. And then when they realize, like, okay, I want to go back to my comfort pick, let's go back to sand. T-Tar Extra has always been good. And I think it will always be good in formats such as this. And I think it's going to be popping up again. I think we should definitely be prepared for sand. I think things that are very, very, very good against sand are bulky water types. You guys can see all the Pokemon I have right here, T-Tar Extra and Rotom Heat, they're all weak to water. They usually try to make up for this weakness by having things like Dragapult, by having things like Rillaboom. So I think things like Tapu Fini, I think Rotom Wash is phenomenal against sand. Rotom Wash obliterates this. If it's Sand Rush Extra Drill, Rotom Wash is one of the best matchups in the game against this, honestly. Yeah, bulky waters, fire, okay? Landorus, T. Sand is definitely weak to Intimidate Cycling. Intimidate Cycling. They can't really hit Landorus for too much. They can max Steel Spike. It could be Weakness Policy Extra Drill. Things could get a little bit dicey after that, but Landorus, Intimidate, very, very good. I definitely would say so. I think like weather control of your own, whether it's like your big water type, right? Max Geysering, shutting down the sand, getting rid of the speed boost. Extra Drill isn't that fast without the sand boost. And it doesn't have max Airstream or something. So like when the sand gets turned off, it is base 88 speed, no matter what. It cannot go faster than that. This weather control Sun Rain that kind of ties into the waters are really that good. Like sand is great against everything but water types. You always have to prepare for the water types. Getting up TR. Must deal with Amoonguss though. They almost always have Amoonguss on these teams, but if they don't have Amoonguss, getting up T-Tar, getting up Trick Room against T-Tar Extra is super good, but they will just be prepared for them to go for double Rock Slide turn 1 and for you to potentially get flinched and just instantly lose the game. Okay, so you always got to think about that too. It's so frustrating, but it's something. It's something you got to be prepared for. Yes, sir. Regigigas Weezing. Turns off abilities. Base 100 speed is the key. I always say this, chat. I always say this. That base 100 speed is the key to beating Regigigas. Why is that, James? Regigigas is base 100 speed. Okay. And abilities are off. No Prankster. No Sandstream into Sand Rush. No rain boosts, no chlorophyll boost on Venusaur, none of that. All those ways that you try to gain speed control do not work against this core because it shuts off the abilities. Being able to attack before the Regigigas Max strikes you. Max quakes up its special defense. Max Hailstorm sets up, hail and kills something of your team through Sash. Stuff like that. So I think base 100 is the key. Moving before Regigigas turn 1 opens a lot of doors. I 100% live and die by this quote, okay? Because it is very, very important. Because you can do things like burn the Regigigas turn 1, they are screwed. If you can burn them with something faster than base 100 speed. Max Airstream. You max Airstream, they max Strike, it's now neutral. You've already beaten the speed control game. Moving before Regigigas is very important. KO Weezing. Once you KO Weezing, Regigigas' slow start instantly starts. Its attack of 160 goes down to half of what it normally would be. So check this out. They go jolly. 212. They just went down to what is that? 106 attack. That is so weak. Look at this. Weezing has higher than 106 attack with no EVs. Let that sink in. But KOing Weezing is easier said than done. Because Regigigas hits you and kills you. Weezing protects. Weezing taunts the Trick Rooms. Weezing max strikes Regigigas, and then Weezing Will-O-Wisp stuff back. Prepare for taunt and Will-O-Wisp Weezing. Okay? Setting up TR is phenomenal against Regigigas-Weezing because they're lowering their speed whenever they use their stab move and all that. But Weezing has taunt. Always, always, always be prepared for that. Any good Regigigas-Weezing team is going to have taunt on Weezing. It's always going to be like Sludge Bomb, Sludge, sure. Taunt, Willow, Protect. That's pretty much going to be every Weezing like set that you're ever going to see. Is this set with something like Sash or Berry to ensure that it survives. I think people were using Galarian Weezing at the beginning because they're like, Pog, it's new. Oh, it's a fairy type, it must be good. No. This gives you a steel weakness, and this doesn't. That's it. That's the only thing you need to think of with these two Pokemon. This Pokemon is now weak to steel, and this one is not. That's all that matters. Like, this having better defensive typing is just makes it a better mod. Honestly, sorry that the answers for Regigigas aren't too amazing. It's just kill the Weezing. If you can't kill the Weezing, burn the Regigigas, or put it to sleep, or Thunder Wave it, etc. And if you can't do any of those things, get up Trick Room, and then kill the Weezing, because you'll be slower than these guys. Kill the Weezing. Kill the Weezing. Kill the Weezing. Kill the Weezing. That's about it. Let's go to Galarian Moltres stuff. So this one is a bit more hard of a core to talk about, just because Moltres isn't the kind of Pokemon that like people hard build their team around. Like when you look at a team, you see it's a Dragapult, it's a Coalossal team, it's a Sun team, it's an Ice Horse team, it's a shit. I can go back look at everything. It's Weezing, it's Sand. You don't really look at a team and be like, it's a Moltres team, because Moltres fits on a lot of different things. That's like what Feeny, Incineroar, Cart, Regieleki, those kind of mons do. But I thought I should include this nonetheless, because this is a Pokemon that does have centralized strategies revolving around it, and that you should have answers for. Its move pool is not that good. It's pretty much like Dark and Flying Stab. I think really strong physical attackers do very well against this. Strong physical attackers. Okay, I think Glastrier, for example, is amazing against this team. Glastrier is Pog. Whenever I was playing with Moltres, I hated seeing that thing. I think Tapu Fini is just a phenomenal option against this. Tapu Fini is amazing. Can set up hits super effectively. I think Fini is always kind of the bane of these Moltres teams' existence. I think it does really well. Even against Raichu, like Nuzzle is not going to do anything because of Misty Surge. Volt Switch isn't going to hurt very bad. It's just not going to do that much damage. I think Tapu Fini is one of the best things possible against this kind of stuff. Strong electric types. I think Regieleki is just probably the single best mon against Moltres. Yeah, does Moltres have amazing special defense? Yes, but Regieleki hits so insanely hard that it just murders Moltres. Just absolutely murders it. If they're a frail Moltres, they will die to a max electric. But you have to be prepared for Raichu. So it's like these kinds of things, there's no just like easy answer. You just have to play well against them. So strong electric types played well, great. Tapu Fini played well, great. And strong physical attackers. Oh, Tyranitar is, I can't believe I forgot about Tyranitar. Tyranitar is like disgustingly good against this. Glastrier and Tyranitar. I think Tyranitar is probably the single best mon against Moltres, hands down. Hands down. So yeah, it's just like good Pokemon, and playing well is really good against Moltres. There's no like easy way out, if that makes sense. Metagross vs Moltres is a fun matchup. It's just a bunch of heavy blows being thrown. I don't know, that's a scary matchup. Electro Web to slow it down. Yeah, but then you just activate its weakness policy and you get fucked. So like, I wouldn't recommend that. Because it's like, hey guys, use Electro Web. But if they're weakness policy, you instantly lose. Haha. So, it's always something you gotta think about. Because if they are Raichu Moltres, chances of them being weakness policy are pretty high because they have the option of doing like the Volt Switch thing. So it's something to think about. Let's go Rotoms. I think Rotoms are very good as well. Yeah, these are very good mons. And Trick Room. Trick Room's also a problem. Trick Room / Speed Control. That goes for like everything. But Trick Room against Moltres, it doesn't want to max Airstream, and then you're slower than it, and you can kill that kind of stuff. So I'm good with that. Activating Weakness Policy and Berserk in one move. Also Nasty Plot. Yeah, dude, Nasty Plot's scary, man. Nasty Plot is scary. I ran Taunt Weakness Policy, but sometimes they're Weakness Policy and Nasty Plot, and it's really hard to deal with. But okay, chat room. Let's go talking about Rain. Now, these teams aren't super popular, but they are picking up in popularity. More than they normally have been. So it's something to always think about. And like, if your team has a bad matchup against Rain, but good against everything else, I think you're probably pretty good for Players Cup. But it should still be something that I give some advice. In a way, you can think of this as big water moves, strong speed control. Max Airstream plus Swift Swim, like weather control, is very, very scary. And if you don't have good water answers, they can kind of wash you away. Haha. Bulky waters of your own, I think, are pretty strong against this. Once again, Telefini. Kingdra, in particular, wants to like max Wormwind the things that it can't, max Geyser, and obviously it can't do that to Fini. Fini is very frustrating for these two to deal with. That's why they almost always have like Rillaboom, for example. That's why Rillaboom is so relevant, is because Fini is like super relevant against everything. I mean, Storm Drain, this is like pretty obvious. I don't really want to have to put it. Gastrodon is like obviously very, very good against this, but they almost always have Rillaboom. You got to be prepared for that. Weather control / TR equals speed control. If you can control the speed against these teams, you're definitely at a big advantage. Whether that is using your big Tyranitar to soak up things, getting up Trick Room with something like Porygon 2 can really just tank out this kind of stuff, and then you control the weather after that. Weather control and TR speed control are really big. But these are things that almost every team should have in the first place, right? But I specifically say weather and TR because things such as Regieleki for speed control or Raichu Nuzzle or something like that aren't going to work as well because they're going to go faster than you and kill you. If you set up Trick Room, you're now faster. If you change the weather, you're now potentially faster. But you're not going to be faster when they're able to just kill you if you're trying to stop them with like Regieleki and stuff like that. I think that those are the most important ways to be faster than them. Grass types are extremely good. Kingdra's the only thing that can really hit it. But the thing is, guys, is Rain teams are gonna have a fire type. They have to have a fire type move on their team, or they are going to get wrecked by things like Ferrothorn, really well played Kartanas. Rillaboom can do okay to an extent, but be prepared for things such as an Entei or an Incineroar thrown on there. Juan had Flamethrower Celesteela, for example. So, always be prepared, but grass types are very strong against Rain nonetheless. Metagross, Torn. This was the tried and true at the beginning of the format. Obviously, this core has kind of fallen off a little bit. Tailwind plus Weakness Policy, Brutal Swing. Now, this core has kind of fallen off a bit. And I would say the reasons for that are because people just come more prepared against Metagross now. The thing is, like, Metagross's stabs get walled by a lot of things. Pokemon that wall Metagross moves. These are things like Rotom Wash, Rotom Heat. Those are both mons that I think are very, very, very good against Metagross. We'll do Kartana. Because Kartana maybe is neutral to ice and ground, but really doesn't do very much to a Dynamax cart. Not at all, really. Pokemon the wall, the Metagross stabs. That was my beginning team building process for my Players Cup 2 team. Is like, I needed something that was good against Metagross, and I decided on Rotom Wash. And I did not have a single problem with Metagross because I would just like Nasty Plot turn 1 and just start messing them up. I think mons such as Porygon 2 and Dusclops do really well. Like, they can just control the tide of the game on turn 1 they can't activate their weakness policy and taunt Porygon 2 at the same time, right? That's something that's really something you really need to think about. Is like, let's say they taunt you, well, you kill Tornadus that turn, so no Tailwind, no weakness policy, no nothing. Let's say they taunt and you just do a ton of damage to Metagross that turn because they are forced to stop your Trick Room. It's like getting rid of their options is a great way of dealing with this core. I think Hyper Offense is really, really good against this as well. Hyper Offense, Tailwind. I think things with Whimsicott plus X are really good against these kinds of things because they are forced to either match your Tailwind and then you kill the Metagross, or you kill the Tornadus, or they go for Brutal Swing turn 1, and if they're going to outspeed you, you might end up just killing them outright with like a big fire attacker such as Coalossal or Blacephalon or like Heatran and stuff like that. So I would say Hyper Offense, Tailwind, Ground, and Fire types. With the Hyper Offense, because you're going to hit them before they can get speed or activate weakness policy. And like, I think that these are just, I would say the biggest answers for why Metagross kind of fell off was this combination right here. Pokemon that wall Metagross, people started using those Pokemon a little bit more. And then along with Trick Room setups. Like, imagine leading Feeny Porygon 2 into this, right? It's like, Metagross doesn't hit Feeny like that hard. If they Dynamax the Feeny, they are forced to taunt the Porygon 2. And they're just like, Metagross without a weakness policy boost is still a good Pokemon, but it's like, it's not that fast, so it's easier to abuse after the Dynamax turns are over. So I think that these are the two biggest things. Walling Metagross' stabs and controlling the speed. Right here I have Fire, Water, Grass core. I think that these are very common, you know, whether it's Feeny, Cart, Incineroar, that's the most common one, or you might play against something like Heatran, Rillaboom, and Feeny as well, or Milotic or something like that. But Fire, Water, Grass, it's really common. I can't really sit here and be like, I can't really sit here and give you like specific answers to this core because it's just like 3 different types of Pokemon that work well together. So, I guess just don't have a glaring weakness to any of these specific Pokemon. If you have a glaring weakness to Feeny, Cart, or Incineroar on your team, you're gonna have a tough time. I think that this kind of fits into the section I was gonna do next, which is single mons to prep for. Let's get into this one. These are glue Pokemon. These are Pokemon that teams aren't specifically built around this. You don't look at this and be like, that's a Regieleki team. That's a Tapu Fini team, as you would a Dragapult Coalossal or Regigigas Weezing, right? These are Pokemon that fit onto a ton of teams. That's why they have such insanely high usage. Incineroar, number 1. Feeny, number 2. Rillaboom, Urshifu Dark at number 3. Regieleki at number 5. Sorry, 4 and 5. Lando, Moltres. These are all very high usage mons because they fit onto many different cores. So I think these are all Pokemon you should not have a glaring weakness to. So for Regieleki, I think you need big electric resist or / lightning rod. Like, I don't think you need lightning rod or anything like that. Depends on your team. But I literally think every team in the format right now probably needs an electric resist. Because you never know what that Regieleki set is going to be. Is it going to be Light Clay dual screens? Is it going to be Focus Sash with screens or something? Is it going to be Specs or Magnet and trying to just melt your face off? You never know with this Regieleki running amok, and the best way to deal with that is by having an electric resist. Landorus, an electric type of your own. Grass types do well against it too. So these are good things against Regieleki. Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini is one of the most used Pokemon in the format for good reason. Water Fairy is godlike. So don't have a big glaring weakness to Feeny, especially the Calm Mind set. Those are the ones that can kind of sweep you the most. So I would say strong electric / grass types. And I would say terrain control. If you can get rid of the Misty Terrain and put things to sleep, paralyze things, burn its partners, get terrain boosts with Rillaboom, so you're boosting up your attacks. Electric terrain, boosting up your electric attacks. Those are all things that are good against Feeny. So I think if you can have strong electric, grass, and terrain control, you should be pretty good against Feeny. If you are lacking those things, the Feeny matchup might be a little bit more difficult for you. Landorus T. Another King Glue Pokemon that I think everybody should have answers for. These are very obvious. Its only weaknesses are water and ice. So I think having water, ice type options are really good. I think having Defiant slash competitive Pokemon are going to help a lot against Landorus as well. I think having like heavy speed control. Because the thing is like Landorus is not very fast. Its base 91. And does it have max airstream? Yes, but if you have Tailwind, you have a Weather, you have anything like that, you're gonna outspeed him. Next up, Urshifu Dark. My least favorite Pokemon probably ever. Do I dislike a Pokemon more than Urshifu Dark? Venusaur. Okay, my second least favorite Pokemon. I think every team should have Fairy or Flying moves. Every team probably has Flying moves, let's be real. Max Airstream's gonna rip it apart. Fairy moves, obviously quad super effective. So I think that those are very good. I think that priority moves are extremely good against this. Mach Punch, Extreme Speed, those aren't very common in the meta right now, but priority is very good against Urshifu. Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini is one of the best answers against Urshifu. You guys can kind of start to see why metas exist, if that makes sense. Well, Urshifu's amazing. Oh, well, Fini beats it. Oh, well, Regigigas beats Fini. Oh, well, Landorus beats Regigigas, right? It's like a never-ending pitfall of like why things are at the top of the meta, and yeah, it's like, it's always just like you take out one Pokemon, something's gonna be good against that, or one Pokemon's gonna be way too strong. Fairy, Flying, Priority, and Speed Control. Last, but certainly not least, I'm putting this as Celesteela slash Steels, okay? Steel types are the kinds of Pokemon where if you don't have a good answer to them, you don't play it well and you let your fire type die, then they're just going to wall you out in the end game. So these are things that you definitely have to prepare for. So, strong. Well, I'm going to say keep your fire slash ground types safe. Okay? I think that is very, very important. If they have Celesteela in the back, and your only answer to Celesteela is Heatran, and you let it die in the first 1 or 2 turns, you're just going to get leech seeded and lose. So you need to play your fire and ground types very safely. But yeah, I think the biggest piece of advice, guys, for Steels is keep your fire and ground types safe. And you should probably have a fire and or ground type on your team. Almost definitely, because they are that amazing of typing. If you're watching this on YouTube, guys, thank you so much for watching this, man. You guys are lit. Make sure to follow and follow the stream. Come and drop a follow on the stream and subscribe to the YouTube channel, of course. I hope this was helpful. Once again, I think you should have at least one answer to all these things, and I think it's not a whole lot to ask. When you start building a team, it's really going to come together. It isn't as hard as it seems. It's like, oh, I have that strong grass type. That actually helps me against 4 of these team comps. Oh, that bulky water type, that helps me against another 4 of these team comps. Oh, taunt, that helps me against like 3 of these team comps. Like it's all going to start meshing together. The reason I bring this up is so that you don't accidentally miss something and have a glaring weakness to a certain archetype or team. So much love, everybody.